We'll go ahead and pay the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay. Roll call, Bert, did you want to do a roll call?
Yeah.
You can just.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah, I can do it.
Give me one.
Board member, Commissioner Franklin Wise.
Something we need to do, make sure that you got that. That's something we need to do for the next meeting, make sure you have it.
Need a copy of the list. Yeah.
I'll make sure when we do the name tags, we do that.
Okay.
Mike. Yep, 2010. Real Bob, Vice President. We don't have another appointment to the board, Columbia County yet. Commissioner Williams is on the board. Grady, our lawyer here. And, both county managers are here today. Do we have our lawyer? The county attorney's not here today.
Nope, they don't come to these things.
Shannon Roberts, he's our, does all minutes and bookkeeping stuff too, so agendas. All right, so we got everybody here, we've got a quorum, so we'll move forward. Additions and deletions, I have one addition I'm going to add. I want to introduce y'all to Bobby Payne. Talk to the board about maybe getting him to help us with a business plan and they start doing a little consulting work so we can, or can we get a director where he can help us at that point also, but that's the only addition I have is possible action of hiring him so we can work on things. We'll do that at the end of the discussion as agenda item B, right after number 9 on the discussion tonight. We'll move on. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? So move. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Approval of the November 6th, 2024 Water Utility Authority meeting minute. Can I get a motion to approve? So move. Motion approved, motion in a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Okay. Executive Director search. Maybe you want to.
Sure, the executive director search went on. They were all supposed to submit their applications to the clerk's office. Nobody submitted an application, so we did not have any applicants. We have left it open. I guess our question to you guys is, obviously, our recommendation is to re-advertise. How long do you want to re-advertise? I have a firm belief that people don't look for jobs during the holidays.
Well, and also we had 3 hurricanes, we had election and the weather. I just think a lot of stuff was against us on that, and I'm in agreement that we do advertise it.
How long do you want to advertise it for? Greg and I can handle it.
What's your thought?
How long did we do it before? Was it 30 days?
I think so.
I think you would put, I would think 60 or 90 days.
Yeah, let's go till March. So have them do it in March.
And we'll tweak up what went out, dress it up some.
We need to vote on that, Grady, or just?
Yes, sir. Let's have a motion, second, and action on that.
Frank, you'll make a motion.
So moved.
So we got a motion on the floor that we advertise till March. We gotta get a second. We got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries.
We want to place an actual date on it.
I would say till the
End of March.
last day of March.
Sure.
What is that?
30 or 31.
30 or 31?
Yeah, 31. Do the knuckle thing.
January, February, March would be
Monday.
Monday, 31st. that'd be good. So we got that covered. Discussion of rate study, committee findings.
So the advertising went out through both counties' websites, other sources. We also the website for the authority. Also for Suwannee County, we put on Demand Star, and Suwannee County using similar service to get out nationally. We got one response back, which was Raptellus. That company is a well-known reputable company. I won't speak for David, but he spoke to an engineering firm about them the other day. Reputable company. I talked to Mr. Bailey yesterday, and reputable company is one of the top people who do rate studies. So the recommendation of the committee that we go into negotiations with that company and start that. Chance wanted to do some legwork initially with that also for us, but recommendation is to go with that company. And start negotiation. Understand the RFQ process. We negotiate. If we can't come to terms, then we punt and start over again.
So
What was the name of the company?
Raptellus.
RAFTELIS.
We'll send each of you an electronic version of this statement of qualifications.
So you're just going to negotiate, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
that's right. Go ahead.
You're just going to negotiate,
If that's what you tell us.
If that's what you like.
but if somebody else comes in with another one, or this is it.
We would have to start over.
We'd have to start over. If we don't come to terms with this company, we start the process over and re-advertise, start over.
So one of the things we were told, that we really need to, and according to what they've got in here, is they're looking at 8 months to do the study, once we give them the okay. And before we give them the okay, Shannon or the committee will bring us a negotiated price back for us to approve, for that study. A lot of information that we have to get together and get to too.
Do we got any clue as to what this will cost? Any guess?
I think Gail said what, about 200,000?
I was gonna say, I remember the last one that Suwannee County had done, it was pretty pricey. I think Neighbors Given did that one, wasn't it?
Did one, your party did one for us also
Okay.
at one time. We talked also about the January meeting, have the company come in and meet the board, and let there be some dialogue between the board and them, just if there's anything that's any questions the board has of them, and also them of us, or them of you.
If you'd like to know bigger than a breadbasket type pricing, they gave us a list of counties and water utility authorities, and sewer utility authorities that they've done these studies for here in Florida. Public record, we can just ask them what they paid.
I mean, I'm okay with negotiating, I'm never much involved with the whole process when we get to that, but it's different getting a bid.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead with the negotiation process and try to negotiate a price, look at it and compare it to what other prices were. And at that point, we can make a decision to move forward or back up and punt.
I'm good with that.
One thing too is through, anytime you use professional organizations to do work for you, your staff can do some legwork to lower the price also. So keep in mind that we're going to try to reduce the price as much as we can. Just, I guess, on behalf of the board.
So recommendation to award the RFQ to Raptellus in the direction of the committee to bring back a report or a recommendation on the contract at the January meeting. Would that be in order?
Yes.
Great. Motion to approve. Well,
So you have the motion.
No.
It would be a motion to award the request for qualification to Raptellus and to direct the rate study committee to bring back the proposed contract for Raftellus at the January meeting. And then I believe
January 8th.
yes, ma'am. And then I believe the discussion was that we may need a committee meeting that morning, between the rate study committee and maybe the Raftellus representative. Okay.
And also have them be introduced to the board at the regular meeting also.
So that last part's not really part of the motion, that's just in. Good.
And who was the,
Make a motion. Second.
Should that say the only responded? So that when people read this, they know that there was only one person that responded to the RFQ?
Well, just said right here.
Well, no, but that's not part of the motion. I mean, that's just.
So I think that'll be reflected in the minutes.
The motion,
I believe that would be reflected in the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Okay, so let's talk about the website update. David, you gonna do that? or-
There's not much to update. I talked with Nathan. He said it's good to go. You can post all your minutes up there. Anything that you want put on your website, we just send to Nathan and he posts it, much like he does with counties that he works with in the clerk's office. So we just need your feedback on any changes you want to the website or anything you want to see different than what we currently have. The website is new, so, you know, it doesn't generate a lot of traffic at this point. So.
I've looked at it. I mean, I haven't built a website, but it looks like it's pretty complete to me, Shannon. Have your thoughts on this?
Looks sufficient.
Yeah. And like I say, we can always, if we see we need to change something on it, I guess that can be done at any time. So pretty much, we might need to critique it a little bit in the future, but I think right now we're on the right path with it. So,
To your point, Mr. Ford, if the board wants to make changes to it, Nathan can make those changes. We can preview them. So if we kind of look at it as a work in progress to get it to where we need to, once we get the executive director on board and the whoever else that's going to be staffing the utility, turn it over to them. I'm sure they'll, if they need to do even more changes to it, they can. But I think it's a great platform for what we need right now.
everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir. I was just looking at it. It looks pretty good.
That's what I say. I've been on it and it's, I think it's pretty complete. I mean, I'm sure at some point we'll see where we need to add something or change something, but that's,
It's
it's not sticking out to me right now on there. I mean, I looked at it. So,
Pretty easy to use.
legislative delegation meeting. Let's discuss this. So we talked in the past that we are going to do some legislative requests as this committee, or as this board. We're going to do Columbia County and we'll do some requests for Swanee County also. And, I guess we need to make up our mind make sure what requests we're going to ask for. And, I know in Columbia County, we're looking at upgrading the lift station and running some force main in Delafield as asking for our request. I don't do, Grady, do y'all have something in mind in Swanee County yet that y'all want to ask for?
because we're going to have one big ask for the county, coming, need to be from the board, obviously. But we've got several projects in mind, so we'll fine-tune those and there's a procedure in place to do it. And I guess you've got a copy of that where what's the term, the format?
You mean the appropriation form itself? Yeah, you basically will outline the request. You will have a board member, the president of the utility board will sign off on the form that you're sending, both the House and Senate. And then you just outline what you need to do. And then the House form this year, they've updated it to include a justification. So whatever it is that the board would like to put forward to the delegation, we'll just need to frame it up so that we can work on the content and get it ready to put into those appropriation forms.
Our concern is, I think our delegation meeting is the 9th,
The 8th of January.
the 8th of January, which is, by the way, the same day as this meeting. So that may be a conflict. And then I don't know when the delegation meeting for Swanee County is.
It's later, it's
The same
a couple
time.
weeks later.
So you're going to want to know what projects you're asking for and submit them to the House and Senate prior to those legislative delegation meetings.
Information also we've got from the representative's office is maximum of 3 this is for the county. Maximum of 3, no more than $1 million each. So just, keep that in mind as far as your numbers go.
So, Mr. Chairman, add some commentary to this. So one of the words I heard yesterday from a budget presentation was right sizing. We got to right size the budget. So it's going to be very tight in terms of what can be asked for. I think it was 3 per county. And I would keep the ask probably $1 million or under this upcoming fiscal year. I know both, usually the Senate's a little bit, they like to give a lot more, but I believe both chambers are on the same page this year in terms of reducing the ask.
So based on what you're hearing, they're asking us to keep our $1 million left for our requests.
Right around there, yeah.
Per request.
And since this is a new authority, even if we can't decide on anything right off the bat, it still would be important to know. I think that we have a conflict with the Columbia one, but at least the Swanee County delegation, so that the legislative members are aware of what we're doing here. We're trying to regionalize assets and work on utility issues.
Well, we have to get ours ready for next month. Kind of like Swanee County had a few months to work on it.
But ours will be in January also.
Oh, it will be in January.
Same time frame.
Okay.
So again, we're asking the board to approve, I guess, this Columbia County project. And then if you don't have a Swanee County project, at least approve having your county manager come up with the county.
So explain our project to the board, David.
So we all know the Busy Bee is coming to Ellis, and it's going to be large. At some point, meaning now, the next 3 years, while we're building the Busy Bee, we need to expand the pump station it goes into and put in a new 6-inch force main, which would allow then a force main for the north side of the interchange and force main to the south side. Happens to be around $1 million, so it fits within this type of funding. So it would support economic development in the Ellisville interchange and this authority, because eventually all that's going to be given to the authority.
So we've pretty much got what we needed so far, haven't we, as far as utilities go, for the sewer station, water tower, and all that stuff?
We'll need some more for the water tower. It depends on what we get in the federal, we're going after some federal money also. So we always could extend lines, both water and sewer.
At the industrial park, the project that we would need more funding for between besides the water tower would be the extension of the water main. We did have partial funding, but when you look at the strategic plan for that park, there's additional funding we could use. It could be invested in that.
So we do have an ask if we, that's
Probably a couple
that's
of
where I'm
ideas.
trying to get to.
Well, we got to, we look at Project Summit, but we're not quite there yet for that. So
So are we asking as a board and the
Yes.
county? Or are we just asking as a board?
That's our recommendation. That the board ask as the board, separate from what the county says.
Okay.
So
But you won't meet again in time.
We need to approve.
Unless you
your-
call for a special meeting.
Well, I would just say, let the motion say, approve the Columbia County request and the request that Swanee County bring forward
Up to $1 million.
up to $1 million. So I'll make that into a motion. Can you second?
Just for clarification, your motion is for the board to go forward with the proposal for what?
Legislative delegation request for Columbia and Swanee County.
Given the county managers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
And we typically use Stas to prepare our legislative requests. I'm going to volunteer his services if the authority would like it.
Be awesome.
So you've been voluntold.
You just got railroaded.
Okay, guys, at this time, I want to introduce you to Bobby Payne. And let him kind of tell you a little bit about what he does and his background.
Okay, great.
And then we'll, after he's done, we'll discuss what I think he could help us with.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, so I am Bobby Payne. I'm a former state representative. Staj knows me very well because we've worked together on some issues. And I tell you, my background, my history is that I spent 38 years in the electric utility business. Ran a couple large coal-fired power plants in Putnam County. Had numerous employees and also had within the scope of that power facility, we had a wastewater facility. As I became a legislator, I retired there in 2019. As I became a legislator in 2017, Speaker Ritter and I and another guy named Tom Leake were all roommates in the house in Tallahassee for 4 or 5 months a year. And Speaker had tapped me to run water policy over those years. And so some of you may recall in 2020, I, along with Senator Mayfield, ran the Clean Waterways Act, which was probably the more substantial piece of water legislation in the last 2 decades. Progressed through the legislature, always working on water policy, of course, energy policy. I would tell you the first bill I ran was burden of proof and stand your ground. So, I am a rural guy from Putnam County. I developed a consulting company over the past year and have spent quite a bit of time on working on water issues, local community water issues. Worked with Associated Industries of Florida, ran their water forum last week in Orlando. So that's some of my background. Many of you I met, you may recall, you may have attended Rural County Days. I was the founder of Rural County Days in Tallahassee. Knowing that the state was overlooking rural counties, I felt like we needed to put a little more effort in the state recognizing rural communities. And that annual event has grown to the point where we had 3,000 people in courtyard last year, probably 400 members at our reception. So that's my background. I'm looking forward for the opportunity to continue to work with different communities in developing water policy and any other things that we see in rural counties that need to be developed. I'm excited about the fact that you're developing the North Florida Water Utility Authority. I think there are some great reasons for that, not only just for your communities, but in Northeast Florida, we are working on water policy and water technology that will put us ahead of South Florida issues because we're new at that development, and we will have those incorporated new technologies. Will give us a leg up when we start looking at sustainability, environmental issues, those things we've known that the legislature and the governor have supported over the last several years. Anything that I can do to help, I'd be glad to be a part of that. So thank you, Chairman.
So David and I met with Mr. Payne Monday. Yes. And we had discussed with him, it was brought to our attention at last meeting, I guess, all y'all remember, about a business plan. We really need a business plan before we can move forward with the rate study. So my thoughts are we need to go ahead and get a business plan started while we're negotiating with the rate study company. And one of the things we talked about was 5-year goal for this authority, 10-year goal, and then a 20-year goal for this authority. And what I would like for Shannon and maybe Swanee County Commissioner, I'd like for them to sit down and kind of figure out what they think this authority should look like in 5 years, 10 years, and in 20 years. In Columbia County, I think we want to do the same thing. So let's kind of put together our goals for our 5, 10, 20-year plan for this utility, and let's get that information, or if we can come to an agreement that maybe get with Mr. Payne to help us with this business plan. I think he's very qualified to do it with his background, and I think he could be a great bit of help to us. So if we could, I'd like for us to act today and maybe starting some kind of contract with him for consulting and help us write our business plan. If that's something this board would agree to do, and he can get us a contract back at the next meeting, or he can share it with us, I guess, with Grady, and we can read out and we can approve it at the next meeting. But yeah,
Grady has reviewed his standard contract
oh,
and suggested an amendment to it, and we have not had a chance to reach back.
okay. Well, Grady, fill us in where you're at.
Let's say that this board decides that's a good idea, for how long and how much. So in other words, I think the scope of the assignment primarily is going to be focused on helping North Florida Water Utilities Authority develop a business plan. And then it sounds like you're asking each of the county staffs and leadership to feed into that, give input onto that. When I complete the material terms of the contract, how long is the consulting agreement going to be for? Like, is it going to be a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month? And then what will the compensation be? Probably put it on a monthly basis might be the easiest way to do it. That would be my initial question back. I hate reverse delegation, but I would reverse delegate back to you. Let's say that we think this is a good idea. What's the term of the contract, and what are we compensating Mr. Payne monthly?
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna step out while y'all have that discussion, if you don't mind.
Okay, all right. So,
Well,
go ahead.
and the business plan, what is that going to consist of? I mean, what is that going to tell us? What are we going to be spending money on, and what are we getting is what I'm.
And I think that is a good question, and I'm not allowed to call people, but I think Dale Williams might have some ideas on this from his prior service. Let me give you for instance. This is a super detailed, what I would call fully vetted business plan for the. This is a sample report I'm looking at for the Polk Regional Water Cooperative, which is a big daddy rabbit down in the Bay Area. Okay. And multiple pages, very detailed. I believe what we're talking about is an ABC 1, 2, 3 version of, okay, the two counties have come together. Okay. We're operating as an independent special district. Suwannee County has identified water and wastewater infrastructure in their county that are priorities and that they'll be working on. Columbia County has done the same. Now, with the direction of the chairman and the action of the board, we're going to get a 5, 10, 20-year composite sort of input. And I think that's what needs to be written up. And then arguably that would be presented to, say, a Raftellus. Raftellus is an industry leader. There's no doubt about it. There are probably 3 or 4 other companies nationwide that can do it, but I'm glad that we've got one responding anyway. So to my way of thinking, this would be a way to move the ship forward in the interim and try to get a more detailed, fact-specific business plan to hand off to a Raftellus. Mr. Sugar, did you have any additional thoughts after meeting with Mr. Payne?
Well, I mean, he definitely could consult with us for this, for the business plan. He said he could help us with that. And, I'm sure there's gonna be other things in the future he might could help us with, but we could start with this at this time, maybe do agreement with him that would help the business plan. And then, once we hire a director, I'm sure he's gonna need some help with some stuff, different consulting and some different stuff too, so. That's something we just need to decide about where we, what we think we should be in 5 years. I mean, really, in 5 years, I would think we should be a completely separate utility by then. But we got to get past this first phase and get all our, stuff in order to move forward. And, whoever I talked to, just business plan seems to be a pretty substantial part of moving forward. So it helps us get to where we need to be as far as.
Yeah, so for example,
Correct, tell us.
right. For example, I mean, I think you would be focused in on your employment needs. I think you'd be focused in on your equipment needs. I think you'd be focused in on your infrastructure priority. I think you'd be focused in a little bit on kind of a swag type suggestion on what you think maybe the rate should be. Okay, based on what you do know at that point, and then Raptellus would take all of that and bring back an 8-month study and kind of final results.
So Dale, when you were talking to these companies, did they give you any idea? I mean, surely they told you, I mean, what was y'all's discussion about the business at that time?
Well, I will try to explain it, Mr. Chairman, as simply as I can. It's the way it was explained to me. Assuming you hire a Raptellus, you're able to negotiate a contract with them. They're going to do a couple of things for you. One is the utility's a business. So in order for you to be successful in your business, you have to know the true cost of what it costs to produce the product that you're providing. So that's where all of Greg mentioned earlier, the footwork comes in. What is the true cost of a plant? What's the funded depreciation? What is maintenance? How many personnel? What is your expected growth? They're going to calculate all of that and say, for you to produce a gallon of water to sell, it's actually costing you X amount of money. The next component is going to be, where do you want to go? And that's where the business plan comes in. So if they look at your 5-year growth projection and what it is you want to accomplish in that 5 years, they will help you quantify that numerically and then build that in to the rate. So the purpose of that plan is to help them do the future forecasting for what your plan of growth is. That's why they want you to have a business.
Basically, it'll be as accurate as the information they get.
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty easy for them to take what's on the ground, figure out the cost, the depreciation of that, cost of operation, those things. But they can't tell you what your growth pattern is going to be in the future. And they're going to look at historical data, and they're going to look at what your goals and objectives are. And if in 5 years you want to have a complete conversion and you want to have a full set of equipment, you want to have a full staff of people and all of that, there's a dollar value associated with that. They will help you calculate what your rate would have to be in order to meet that goal and objective.
So
If you've got goals, you need somebody to give you a roadmap. Right now, we don't have that roadmap.
One good thing about Mr. Payne is he's been in this electric utility tour, so he knows where we need to start. Kind of, he's got that information. He's got 30-something years experience in that. He would probably make a great director, but he's past that. So
He didn't want no part of that.
well, I think he don't want to retire down full time. But he did say he would help us. He would be glad to help us while we're still searching for that director to lead us in the right direction and kind of give us some insight on what he would recommend our next step be and
But since we don't, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, since we don't have a director and we've just moved it out till what, into March? Is he willing to do the business plan, and since Dale's not the interim director anymore, is doing both? Or is that a possibility? Do we need that?
Chairman,
Yeah.
Shannon has a great idea. I'll let him explain it, but do a two-phase approach, possibly with Mr. Payne.
So, and this, I like what you're saying as well. I think there's merit to potentially have them fill in, but when I think about this business plan, to me, I kind of want to I would think we would consider breaking it up into two parts. A first part to meet with the utility, their staff from Columbia, Kewanee, gather information, because he needs to know some information before he actually creates the plan. So phase one is a small amount that you guys decide to see if he can meet, do some fact finding, strategize, and then he comes back with a proposal to actually write the plan, box the cost in for us to say, based on what I gathered, I think here's how much time it takes, here's what it'll cost to actually create the business plan. I think you could fold that into other ideas if you wanted to do interim staffing, but at a minimum, if we got two pieces, we do the first piece at a relatively economical amount, and then the second piece might be larger. It's a larger work effort, takes a little more time.
So how do we get to that point with Mr. Payne? Do we ask him to do a proposal?
I think the first piece, if you'd want to do this, is you would come to a decision to say, hey, we're going to spend a certain amount of money to let him gather information and fact find. And when he's done with that, then he brings that back to the board to say, okay, here's what I know right now based on my interviews and my data gathering. I'm going to propose writing a business plan, and it'll take this much time and cost this amount. That way, the bigger chunk of it, you know what that is before you get there. And he has a chance to collect data and understand things before he ever starts writing.
And I would take it a step on the dollar value. I would say up to an amount, because it's based on time. So he can come up and say, staff is very knowledgeable. We don't need a lot of legwork, and price be less than what the full amount. But I don't know what those numbers are. Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000 to do phase one?
I think one of the ways to start is have him meet with the Suwannee County folks and talk about your concerns with him so he can draft this proposal that you guys are talking about.
So we just need to maybe get kind of an estimate from him, what he's talking about to do this, and we can approve that amount of money in phase one for him to.
How big a hurry are we in for this business plan?
Well, if we start negotiations with this, tell us, we're going to probably need it in the next couple of months, I would say.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is we're sitting here beating around how much this is, and we don't really know how much this is. And I think to Shannon's point, if we could get him to meet with you guys and figure out what it is, and come back with a proposal on what that part of it is, and then come back after that with a proposal for the full blown.
And if we need to call a meeting, just to vote on that.
Yeah, we can. But right now, you really, and Mr. Attorney, can we just do that, or is that got to be an RFQ, or
Typically you would either do an RFQ or an RFP or something like that. I think sort of what the chair had in mind was that you've got someone who's got specific Florida infrastructure knowledge that the general consultant would not have. I mean, sort of what I'm hearing here from Shannon is really kind of a bifurcated scope of work. It's possibly something that our two staffs could come up with together. You know, the first phase of the scope of work would be sort of what we're talking about, the fact finding and the general recommendations. And then the second phase would be, you know, sort of the tentative business plan proposal to be submitted to Raftellus. So I would think that possibly our two county staff could come up with that and bring it back to the board. And if we want to look at it that way, and then we could get pricing. If he's willing to do it, we could get pricing specific to that. But I'd say pleasure of the board. If you want to put it out, you always have the ability to ask for more people to be involved in it. But if you feel like he's uniquely qualified and you should just hire a consultant for that purpose, then you would have the ability to do that.
We obviously don't have a lot of people jumping in the ring out right now. So.
Now, I just want to make sure I ain't going to jail. That's what I'm.
This does not sound like what we call a CCNA item. In other words, professional engineering. Doesn't sound like a professional engineering assignment. So really, you're just hiring a consultant for a specific task.
Well, and yes, should we, it's him here today, should we discuss, you know, Shannon's ideas and what that would take? I think it's important to have Mr. Payne, if he's chosen, to be engaged in the fact finding with staff up front. You know, not us provide information, then come back and say, well, I need this, this, and this now. Let's just, if we did it all at one time, it speeds up the process. Where we have all the staff in the, you know, we'd all meet our staff, Plymouth County staff, meet at one time and just do that fact finding piece. You know, he may say, I can do, you know, the SWOT analysis and other pieces for this much, do legwork, and then once I do that, then I can do the proposal for the plan. But if he's here now,
Can we discuss that now with him?
I see no problem discussing it, you know.
Oh, you'll bring him in?
volunteer, I like volunteer too. So.
Yeah. Don't see it happening.
So, Mr. Payne, what we've kind of come to the conclusion we'd like to do, and y'all correct me if I'm about, or Shannon, maybe you get one. I'll let you do.
Mr. Payne, what we think may be a good idea is to engage with you for a certain time to allow you to come together with the Columbia staff and the Suwannee County staff to have a dialogue, gather facts, data, and information about utilities, our needs, our goals. So you can spend some time doing that. And then from that, create a proposal to actually write the business plan after you've had a chance to gather information first. Right. So that was the general approach we were outlining, and we wanted to kind of get your input on what do you think about the approach. Do you have something you could propose for the first piece in terms of cost, or box it up for us? How much time? What do you think? So we were just dialoguing that and wanted to bring you in so we could get your feedback as well.
Well, certainly have to do that regardless of whether it was a straight consulting contract. The intent was to engage with the stakeholders and find out. Developing a business plan framework is not very difficult, but developing the detail of the business plan is where you need the input, and the opportunity to have dialogue with stakeholders, or the commission. And then from there, move forward. So either way, it's the same end result. I think that's a reasonable approach. So I'm not against that.
So what I would ask is for you to set up either a meeting or a phone conference with Suwannee County and Shannon, and kind of, well, I guess first, do you have an estimate about what that cost might be? That something we can look at today as a board?
My standard consulting contract is usually a monthly retainer. It starts at 5,000 and goes up to 10. I have, most of my clients are at 5,000. And as Mr. Grady has seen, as we've talked, that he's seen the contract. If it's separate or part ways at any point, usually I sign for a standard number of months, often 6 months. And then at that point, if we don't see the results by either party, so it may be that I'm asking questions and I'm not getting answers to, or you may be asking questions that I'm not getting. Then there's a reason to separate a part way. So that's typically where I start.
So basically,
And then it is all negotiable.
so basically what you're asking, if I understand, you'd be the first month retainer be $5,000. We can do a first month retainer, and if it goes over that.
You said 75, that's not quite, 75,000, it's not quite that high. So it'd be anywhere from 5 to 10,000, and that's negotiable. I'd have to look at the scope of the work, but I would think it'd be reasonable to start at $5,000.
I'm okay with that.
Can do that too.
And what
Is it negotiable, how much you want to go?
Negotiate up. The performance you see, or the performance and the return and the time frame. Because look, in developing the business plan of that scope, it's going to take some while to get your head around. But if I'm not producing what you want to see within a certain time frame, then you say this is not working, and you're better part of it.
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, I think I'm good with giving him put him on retainer for the $5,000 and go ahead and get started with the fact finding.
You're saying an initial term of the 6 months that he was requesting?
I would think so, would be. Yeah.
I'm good with that.
But you said the rate study, you've got to negotiate that first. That's got to come back to us for approval.
Well, your time frame on rate study 8 months, as I heard you say.
8 months, yeah.
That's what they listed in their reports.
So if we do the retainer for the 6 month, 5,000 a month, that should get us to where we need to be with the plan at all, I think.
I'm sure Mr. Payne would be interested in extending that.
And if it's, it's more time consuming, I'm sure we can negotiate that out at the time.
Well, back to my question on the interim administrator. Are you willing to take on that task in temporary as well to go with this while you're doing it?
Well, I've been asked that question by more than one group in numerous counties. At this point, I'm not willing to do that. And simply for a couple of reasons. One, I'm retired after working for 45 years and doing this because I like to work and because I like to see rural counties be successful. Two, because my list of clients I've already signed now are would not allow me to be full time. That's really now in the future. At some point in time, if this thing's off the ground where it needs to be in a year's time, and you're not happy with the interim or the successor you have for that position, that'll be another discussion. So my point is that I want everybody to be successful in this as much as possible, but I've still got to take some time for myself. And at this point in time, where I am, I can work. I'm used to working 12, 16 hours a day in the legislature. I'm not really looking forward to doing that every day. I do have 2 grandchildren.
Well,
That's a personal reason, certainly.
yeah, and I fully understand that. I'm about the same place.
Yeah,
That I do like a little time to myself.
appreciate that.
I just thought I'd ask while we had you here.
No, it was a good question. I appreciate you asking. But at this point in time, I'm not ready to take on a full-time job. Plus, I'm an hour and a half from you guys, and it's it would probably require some relocation for a pretty good period of time.
Understood.
Thank you for asking that.
Okay. Do you, direction from the board, do you want us to get started with that right away? Do you want the board to review the written contract and approve it at the January meeting? What's your pleasure?
I would like for you to review the contract, as our attorney and make that decision and go. I would like to get started as soon as possible. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We've got the basics of the contract. If that short addendum I sent over, we just need to fill in a little bit of the specific on the scope of work, like Mr. Shannon was talking about, and then the 5,000 a month retainer and the 6-month initial. So,
And I reviewed the addendum this morning and it's fine. And it's a travel expense, reporting per diem. All that is not a big deal to me. So standard travel.
if you want to authorize us to proceed with, I guess we would ask maybe the chair be authorized to sign that on behalf of the board.
I would think so, yes. Do you need a motion to that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you'll stay, then I'll just make a motion.
So
We'll save some time.
So it would be to enter into a consulting services contract with, I believe it's Bobby Payne Consulting LLC.
Yes, sir.
LLC, Bobby Payne Consulting LLC for an initial term of 6 months at a monthly retainer of $5,000 a month to cover the scope of work that Shannon had described in terms of fact finding and a proposal for developing a business plan for North Florida Water Utilities Authority.
Okay, got a motion.
Subject to chairman approval. Is that-
With the chairman authorized to sign for the,
Second, motion second, all in favor, say aye.
I did.
motion and second.
Leo seconded. Got a motion second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion carried. I think we look forward to working with you.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Fine. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We get into public comment, can we move number 12 up? Because from what Stas indicated earlier, we're wanting this board to go to the Columbia County delegation. The conflict is January 8th. Is that correct, Stas?
Yeah, January 8th, 9 a.m.
January 8th won't work.
Okay, what?
So, the day of the legislative conference.
And what we're envisioning is this board would go to both legislative delegations.
So that meeting's gonna be in Swanee County, so Swanee County's gonna have to make sure we can meet at a different time over there. Greg, do you have a schedule or?
I do not.
Give me a date and I will.
What do y'all think?
They're coming on the 8th?
Yeah,
They're coming to Columbia.
yeah.
So that would be Representative Brannon and Senator Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever date you guys have would be 2 different representatives. You'll actually be presenting to 4 representatives.
Do we have a board meeting? First, yeah, it'll be the first Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
What time is y'all's board meeting?
It's at night. 5:30. So we can still
Can you do it
meet.
that morning? Can you do it that morning on 7th?
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't see no phone group once I don't leave.
Grady, is that your fit your schedule, the 7th? The day, the Tuesday to the Wednesday?
To move it,
Yeah, move it to the 7th.
let me check and see, sir.
Everybody check your schedules. Let's make sure we don't have any.
So we're talking about moving committee meetings that day also?
Yes.
Yes.
As long as we are done by, noon, that should be in good shape.
I think we should be, start at 9.
And that will be in,
Swanee.
There'll be a lot of, yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, we'll do it.
Okay, so.
Leo, you good with that?
Good. I am.
9:30. Right, yes, sir.
Would it be all right if we did the rate study committee at 9 that morning? I gotta drive over from Jacksonville and help a little bit.
I think 30 minutes is plenty of time.
If the deputy will let me, I can sleep by the front door.
Make that arrangement.
So, all right, so we'll do it on the seventh at 9:30. And y'all committee meeting will be at 9.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to make a motion to change that date.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to move the date to January 7th at 9:30, Mr. Chairman.
You give that a second?
In live.
In live, is that a second?
30.
It'd be 9 for the committee, 9:30 for the board.
Okay, got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Anybody like that? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move into public comment at this time. Anybody got anything that you wanna? Public comment? Board comment? You got anything? I think we said.
I'd like to thank Mr. Payne for coming today. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good deal. It's great help to it. You know, the thing you got to crawl before you can walk, and we're still in that stage, and we're trying to get up. I think it's a good move to get started into that direction. I appreciate it. Dale, you got anything to add? I'm good. You good? Mr. Attorney?
No, sir, just reminding, you and Mr. White, we have a short audit selection committee meeting at 10:30. Yes, sir. So I just need you for a few minutes.
Okay.
So we'll have to have everybody leave the room unless you want to sit for that committee meeting. It's a public meeting. You're welcome to stay, but
It'll be pretty good stuff.
Shannon, you got anything you want to add?
Yes, sir.
One thing just take a snapshot of where we are right now, having somebody with expertise like Brady, and also Mr. Payne and even the rate study group, we got top-notch people helping us, so we're in a good place.
You know, I heard Henry Ford say one time, I don't know it all, but I surround myself with people that do. Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah. And that's how you have to do it. David, you got anything you want to add or?
Merry Christmas.
Here. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
Did you want to reconvene?
We'll reconvene now.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Well, the camera's still running.
I think it's.
She's gonna, somebody's gonna wait.
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you. Thank you. All right, yeah. I'm getting there, Joe. Your business. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming. Great to see you. Yes, sir. Good.
Good to see you, buddy.
Leaving Dale?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Stay in touch. Yes.
Put me to sleep on this next part.
Okay, Grady.
Yeah,
Stay.
okay, so, I'm addressing the members of the audit select committee of the North Florida Utilities Authority Board of Directors, currently represented by Mr. Craig White, Swanee County, and Mr. Rocky Ford, Swanee County, and Mr. Rocky Ford of Swanee County. So to comply with Florida statutes, I've got a schedule of critical dates in my memorandum. Basically, what we're doing today, with the pleasure of the committee, is we're approving the final version of the professional auditing services request for proposal. So that is an RFP. And then we're also asking that you approve the proposed timeline in my memorandum, which I filled out here for you, which I'll summarize in just one moment. And then also the proposed procurement advertisement, which is also in there. So let me just do a little backtrack. I gave you all a memorandum at the prior meeting summarizing the statutory protocol. I hate to get too wrapped around the axle because I was an interim executive director one time, a long time ago, and I think we did everything on like maybe 4 or 5 pages, but things have gotten more complicated here in the state of Florida. So we've got about a 45-page RFP that meets the Florida statutory requirements. We've got a short complying advertisement for that RFP. You, as the audit selection committee, have the statutory authority to say, yes, as a body, we're authorizing you to move forward with the procurement. And yes, as a body, we're authorizing you to publish the advertisement. Now, here's what I think the timeline will be. Notwithstanding the change of the meeting date for January to the 7th, I don't see that any of our projected dates are changed. So what I expect is y'all will authorize us today to move forward, okay? Dale Kraus, as the registered agent of the deal, is going to be a little bit on the hook and his staff in terms of receiving the proposals, answering questions, and then opening the RFP responses. And all of that would take place over a period of time, culminating at January the 22nd of next year. I wanted to give us a little break for the holidays in case the auditors are taking some time themselves. Okay, then our agenda is due to be posted on January the 29th for the February 5th meeting. Okay, on the February 5th meeting, what I would expect would happen would be that this committee would at that time complete the ranking process for the responding auditors, okay? And if I'll get a clarification before then, whether you want to do that like as a first thing committee meeting, or whether you just want to have it sometime, after 9:30. What we would do if we did it that way, Mr. Chair, is I'd ask you to gavel out of the board meeting, gavel into the ASC committee meeting, take the action for the ranking, complete your action and recommendation of the board, gavel it back into the regular meeting and have the board authorize us to go forward with that auditor. And so then you've got the other critical dates. The key date is we've got to have the last date for timely submission of the audit to the state is June 30th. Now, there's not a lot to do for the first year. Y'all will remember we kind of jumped on the merry-go-round when it was already running. And I think our effective date is April the 17th. So we did not have a full fiscal year. So that's one reason why we're a little bit behind. So I'm hoping that the auditor we select will, be able to, in short order, do the partial initial fiscal year, and then they can be ready and they'll be on standby to do the first full fiscal year. And we'll continue with the renewals till we have the procurement in. So I'm not trying to make a bigger deal out of this than it is, but the legislature has laid out certain parameters that we have to operate within. That's what this is designed to do. So if that meets with everyone's approval, I just ask the committee to authorize us to, I'd ask you to please approve and authorize us to proceed with releasing the request for proposals for the professional auditing services as presented. And I'd ask you to authorize us to proceed with the advertisement for that in accordance with Florida statute.
Make a motion. You need two motions or?
One motion will be fine.
I actually wrote what he
Yeah.
said, so can you just move it?
That's what I'm doing.
Can you make a motion? I'll take it.
You're all over the forum. You have a question?
Yeah, I'll just call. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When you send out these RFPs, are you gonna send it to auditors? Or you're just gonna do an advertisement?
We will do an advertisement. We would welcome any input on specific auditors you would suggest we use. Now, the group out of Daytona, I think they were involved in submitting a proposal for the one for Columbia County, and I'm blocking on their name now. But I think y'all know who I'm talking about. But if any local auditors or interested auditors that y'all would submit, if you could please email me, I will make sure we send that list.
I would add, you can Google them, whoever's doing it, and find out what auditors are. When Columbia County did their audit, apparently the purchasing director never heard of Purvis Gray, which is one of the biggest auditors in the state, and they never even got part of the RFP. So between James Moore, Purvis Gray,
Sherry Becker, Holland.
and
But it was advertised.
David Crowd,
Advertised, right.
but you have the ability to contact them
I agree.
with a copy of the RFP, and you may want to consider doing that.
Can a local person do that?
Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'd love it. I mean, so for example, let me just, like this is almost 20 years ago, I had less than a half dozen proposed in the Jacksonville area for a small independent special district. And we're talking about small, okay? This is not going to be a real big assignment the first year, to be sure.
I could probably jam this one out for you.
Yeah, so what I'd say is we would love to have a auditor who's cost conscious, who wants to build a relationship. We'd love to have that. But yeah, James Morrison, thank you. That's what I think.
I suspect it'll be a local guy, won't it all? I'm sure y'all are, then we'd rather give your money to our local.
Absolutely. If somebody wants to.
Yeah. So
I made the motion.
got a motion on the floor to move forward. I think,
Are you all ready to vote?
yeah. So.
And then
to pay out.
writing what he was proposing.
I don't think it's changed.
Both say aye. Aye. Both like them.
That's the only business we have.
So we're moving forward, we'll send it out, the advertisement for the.
That's it.
Anything else? David, you have anything?
I just thank everybody for the work you're doing. I know it's a lot. I mean, I know it's probably a pain for you guys to gather all this up and get the train moving. We just sit here and say yes and no and do whatever we do, but I know you guys do all the work and it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Stosh just walked out, he's not here, but I can tell you, he's doing a lot for us, and I know Shannon's doing a lot for us, and you know, without y'all, we wouldn't know where to go next, so. George. I know David agreed, they just passed down they just passed down.
I think it's a great thing, even beyond the water utility, is, you know, as both counties able to work together and use each other and, you know, come together all the time on stuff, and that's a good thing.
We get a lot more accomplished working together than trying to work against each other. I fully believe in that.
Well, you think about it, your folks work over in Swanee County, our folks work over here. We're serving the same folks. And we're in this thing together. So, and the citizen doesn't care whose it is, as long as the government is everybody.
You can do it as cheap as you can and it works. That's what we need.
I'd say I know it's a slow process, it seems like, and I get frustrated with Frankly, about me coming private business, when I make my mind up, I'm moving forward today, you know what I'm saying? I don't work that way in government,
I'm
so.
ready to go in 5 minutes,
I know.
5 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a lot faster, you don't have to turn it. But they keep you safe.
Actually make you do it right.
I was thinking that a while ago, try to keep it going to jail.
Go to jail like me.
All right, well, I appreciate all y'all. Appreciate y'all coming over and appreciate all you're doing.
Adjourn the meeting.
Let's all gavel it out.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.
There you go.